बजट 2020 आज वित्त मंत्री के द्वारा संसद में पेश कर दिया गया है। मुझे मालूम है कि आप शायद हिंदुस्तान की आज़ादी के बाद सबसे लंबे बजट भाषण के बाद काफ़ी थके होंगे, क्योंकि वो काफ़ी नीरस और उबाऊ भी था। आज हिंदुस्तान के पूर्व वित्त मंत्री, कांग्रेस कार्य समिति के सदस्य माननीय पी चिदम्बरम जी हमारे साथ हैं और वो 2020-21 के बजट और भविष्य की रूपरेखा को लेकर सरकार द्वारा क्या पेश किया गया है, इस पर अपना वक्तव्य रखेंगे और आपके सवालों का जवाब लेंगे। आदरणीय पी चिदम्बरम जी।
Good afternoon to all of you. I have an opening statement. Copy will be distributed or may have been distributed. Let me read the statement. It will only take 160 minutes. So you'll have to be patient. We've just heard the longest budget speech delivered by a finance minister in recent years. It lasted all of 160 minutes. If therefore all of you are exhausted, as I am, I would not blame you. The only way I can help is by keeping the opening statement brief. I'm at a loss to understand what was the message intended to be conveyed by Budget 2020-21. I'm also not able to recall any memorable idea or statement in the speech. The takeaway from the budget speech are the following. 1. The government has given up on reviving the economy or accelerating the growth rate or promoting private investment or increasing efficiency or creating jobs or winning a greater share of world trade. 2. There were multiple themes, segments, and programs, leaving the listener dazed and confused. It was a laundry list of old, that is, current programs. I'm pretty certain that even the most loyal BJP MP or supporter cannot latch on to any idea or statement in the budget speech and take it to the people. If the ongoing programs have failed the people, how can throwing more, or in some cases less, money into the ongoing programs change anything? 3. The BJP government has been identified with debatable positions like self-reliance, protectionism, control, and aggressive taxation. The budget affirms those positions. The government does not really believe in a market economy, competition, or higher trade intensity. The chief economic advisor must be a very disappointed man. 4. The government is in complete denial that the economy faces a grave macroeconomic challenge and the growth rate has declined in 6 successive quarters. There is nothing in the budget that leads us to believe that growth will revive in 2020-21. The claim of 6 to 6.5% growth next year is astonishing and even irresponsible. 5. The Indian economy is demand-constrained and investment-starved. The FM has not acknowledged these two challenges, and that is a pity. Consequently, she has proposed no measures or solutions to those two challenges. If the twin challenges remain, the economy will not turn around and there will be no relief to the millions of poor and the middle class. 6. Food subsidy has been reduced. Fertilizer subsidy has been reduced. The petroleum subsidy has been marginally increased because of anticipated increase in oil prices. It appears that the people will not get any relief on the price front. Please remember that CPI inflation is over 7% and food inflation is over 10%. 7. The finance minister failed miserably on marksmanship. In 2019-20, the current year, she failed to meet any of the key budget estimate targets: nominal GDP growth, fiscal deficit, net tax revenue collection, disinvestment revenue, or total expenditure. There is no assurance that she will meet the targets set for 2020-21. 8. The government does not believe in reforms, and certainly not in structural reforms. The FM has outright rejected every, and I repeat, every reform idea contained in the economic survey. I wonder, did the FM read the economic survey? I also wonder, was the chief economic advisor privy to the contents of the budget speech? I think the answer to both questions is in the negative. So that is your budget for 2020-21. You did not ask for such a budget, and you did not deserve such a budget for voting the BJP to power. But you have to live with it until the government is forced to revise it, as it did in 2019.
Any questions? We'll take it. We'll start with you.
Sir, I just want to know whether the Congress party welcomes the income tax relief in terms of, for the salaried classes. There has been some reduction, and of course, Nirmala Sitharaman says that exceptions will be removed. And then, of course, the other aspect about the fact that there's going to be disinvestment of, once again, LIC and IDBI. So do you think that is in the correct direction?
See, as far as the personal income tax relief is concerned, of course, we would welcome any relief given to the income taxpayers in the lower brackets. But whether it is 40,000 crore is a big question mark, because it is subject to the condition that you can't avail of exemptions. It's only when you trade off the exemption and the relief, you can really arrive at the relief. If they've finally thrown some crumbs at the lower tax bracket, I mean, it's not a matter to be welcomed or congratulated about, but any relief to the lower income tax bracket, we welcome it. As far as IDBI is concerned, that was a decision taken last year. So it's not a new decision, so I don't have to make a new comment on that. As far as LIC is concerned, it's highly debatable. To assume that every public sector must go through a process of disinvestment, partial or whole, is wrong. LIC actually has increased its share of first premium income in the last year, as reported by the chairman. It has gained in competition with very strong private sector players. So we will internally debate it within the party, and we will give our view on the floor of Parliament. But I think it's a highly debatable proposition. Yes.
Yes, sir.
What do you think of the tax exemption on the sovereign wealth funds? Do you think that this would bring in some money into the infrastructure sector?
She announced it last year. She reiterated it this year.
Yeah, but there hasn't been any.
No, last year she didn't raise any money. But today, the external market conditions are certainly not favorable for a sovereign wealth fund. If the world economy is going to slow down and oil prices will rise, or there's going to be conflict in some theaters, I don't know what the external situation will be. They announced it last year, they didn't raise any money. If they have announced it again this year, I doubt whether they'll be able to raise any significant amount of money. The better course is to allow a quasi-sovereign to raise money abroad, and that will benchmark where your sovereign rating is. The obvious quasi-sovereign is the State Bank of India.
Sir, the Prime Minister said that the entire budget is moving around three basic themes: aspiring India, economic development, and caring society. As for the caring society and the aspirational India is concerned, what are the key things that you think were missing or were present?
Well, I think you stopped counting at 3. I had 3, and under each one of the 3 there were some numbers, and under each one of those numbers there were some other numbers. So if you multiplied, I think it came to close to 100. I think she lost count somewhere along her speech. I lost count midway in her speech. How do you call it a budget for caring society? I've just given you food subsidy has been reduced. Fertilizer subsidy has been reduced. We have to get into the details to find out what is the allocation for specific programs that are targeted at midday meal scheme also. The RE is less and the BE is at the same level as last year. PM Kisan, the RE is less, the PE is the same as last year. So I think this talk about caring society is more words than deeds. Once we drill into the numbers, we will know how caring they are or how uncaring they are.
But what about aspirational India? Because all the opposition parties are saying that the burning issue of unemployment is somewhere not touched upon by this budget.
That's true, that's what I said. Surprisingly, the President's speech did not utter a word about employment. And I commented on that yesterday. The Economic Survey has a chapter on employment, but it